I've seen how easily AI is misused, how easily it's misunderstood, and even by people who know the technology in terms of they're the ones publishing papers at conferences. That's where the world is going. Everything is going towards tokenized finance and digital assets. Forget the hype. What problem is being solved? What technology are they using to solve it? Why is it that technology? How big is the problem? Is it a hair on fire problem, or is it, hey, we should do this because it'd be cool? Luckily, I've been trading on Uphold all that time, and I look at my returns, and they're comparable. It's some months higher, some months lower than Bitcoin, but it's very much comparable to Bitcoin. But anyway, all that to say, my prediction for 2026 is that the ISO 222 family of tokens are going to actually show the world their utility, and that they really are what has intrinsic value beyond speculation.
Hey, what's going on, family and friends? Welcome back to the channel. We're kicking off 2026 with a bang. In today's exclusive episode, I sit down with the visionary co-founders of Mangrove, Dr. Tim Darrah and David Buttrey. These guys are doing something bold, building AI-powered tools that bridge traditional and decentralized finance with real-world utility. From their backgrounds in NASA, the military, and global event production, to their mission of making automated investing safer and smarter, this is one of the most dynamic interviews I've hosted yet. We dive into everything from regulatory clarity and tokenized finance to their unique approach to risk-managed AI trading. You don't want to miss this conversation. So let's get into it. Thanks for tuning in. Love you mucho. Hey, what's going on, family and friends? We're starting off 2026 with a strong, exclusive production. Today, I'm joined by the two co-founders of Mangrove, Timothy Darrah and David Buttrey. Let's bring these two gentlemen and scholars up onto the stage. Let's bring up Tim first. Excuse me, Dr. Tim. Meet Tim Darrah, Dr. Tim Darrah. Tim drives Mangrove's technical vision, blending AI, systems thinking, and responsible automation. With roots in engineering, a former NASA fellow, and leadership in complex tech systems, currently a professor at Vanderbilt University in Tennessee, Tim ensures that Mangrove's platform remains transparent, controlled, and empowering for users entering the world of automated investing and strategy investing. So, Tim, this is a very important conversation, especially understanding that you're also a veteran who was deployed, and I believe you were an airborne infantry diving into Afghanistan. So I want to dive into that. No pun intended. Anyways, when Tim is off the clock, you can find him reading. Want to know which books you're reading, Tim, as well as scuba diving underwater or hiking around the world with his family. Now let's bring up his co-founder and business partner, David Buttrey. Let's bring him up onto the stage. David, how you doing today, sir?
Great.
David brings global strategic vision to Mangrove, shaping partnership and a go-to-market strategy across regions and institutions. David fuses deep trading expertise with an understanding of how technology and liquidity intersect, enabling opportunities for builders and market participants worldwide. From delivering high-impact events, selling millions of tickets, to managing teams of thousands across jurisdictions, again, worldwide presence. And not to mention, David connects governments around the world as well. So you can find David at the intersection of entertainment, capital, technology, and community. Gentlemen, how you doing today? How did I do?
Great job. Nailed it. Yeah.
I appreciate it. It only took a few attempts. We won't let the audience know that. Anyways, hey, thanks for joining me today. Now, before we kick things off here, I would appreciate if we could learn a little bit more about you to, again, so the audience can gain a better sense of just who you guys are and why this interview is so important. Let's kick things off with you, Dr. Darrah, and we'll then dive over to you, Mr. Buttrey.
Great. Thanks so much for having us on your show. I was glad to have met you at a DWP event last year and started building in the space, and glad we kept in touch and you have us on your platform. I followed your progress last year. Congratulations on that. And yeah, Tim Darrah, as you said, former NASA fellow, veteran, been building AI technologies for over 10 years now. And throughout my journey, I've seen how easily AI is misused, how easily it's misunderstood, and even by people who know the technology in terms of they're the ones publishing papers at conferences. Things happen when you're using these technologies and you just don't understand what's happening or why. And combining that with my interest in trading, then you start talking about guardrails and safety. And we saw that there was a spot in the marketplace for a technology that intersected safe use of AI with multiple layers of guardrails, not just, oh, we have prompts that our AI agent listens to. And look, you can see it's in capital, the word critical is in capital letters. So the agent must follow it. Like, really, no. And so anyways, don't get me on my soapbox about
Yeah, I was going to say, if you want to talk about Mangrove AI, we could dive on in, but I still want to give Dave the stage so we can showcase his domain of expertise.
Appreciate your time, Ray, and it's great to meet you. And my background and how it relates to the crypto, decentralized finance, and how it's entering and merging with traditional finance is really analogous to my background in live events, where over the last 2 decades, I've dedicated my career to building large-scale in-person social networks and executive producing these live events. We've sold over 1 million tickets across genres, across geographies, beach shows in Florida, hip-hop social shows in Africa, house music shows on ski slopes in Canada, festivals in the desert, in the mountains, sort of a broad variety of languages, countries, cultures, and income levels. And this work is really centered on sparking human connection, innovation, and curiosity. And through these efforts, I came to realize our team in my past, we were very good at taking a subculture and bringing it into the main culture, no matter what the genre of music was.
Oh, wow. While Dr. Darrah was airdropping into Afghanistan, you're airdropping into Burning Man and some exclusive events.
Literally.
Yeah. And
excellent. I like the vibes here. I appreciate you guys joining me today, and I'm thrilled to feature Mangrove AI, also just known as Mangrove Standalone, to the world. And so thank you very much, gentlemen. I'm excited, especially with the automated trading solutions that you guys have built. So let's dive into the competitive advantages of Mangrove AI. Now, you guys have developed an AI copilot. You've got some really interesting systems Dr. Darrah had hinted towards earlier on in this conversation, but let's unpack things a little bit. What sets Mangrove apart from its competition, but also what inspired you guys in the marketplace that you saw that there was an opportunity for you to serve a market that might have been underserved?
So I'll share where we started, and I think David can answer the question on competitive advantage, but we have honest beginnings. We were initially planning to launch a crypto hedge fund. Again, my algorithms and experience day trading, looking at charts, I can encode that, and David's experience building networks, raising capital, and things like that. So, hey, this looking at my personal rate of return. Hey, this is a no-brainer. Let's do this. And when we started building the trading desk, and I got to a point where I was like, this works. And my wife had generosity to tell me that trying to launch a fund without a finance background, without fund management experience, without Goldman Sachs on our resumes is a fool's errand. And we should, and that, hey, Tim, remember, you're a tech entrepreneur. Like, you build AI technologies. This should be a company, not a fund. And so it started out as a pivot. We had a real need. And then David did a lot of research, a lot of customer discovery, and validated that need big time across several conferences. I don't know, David, you want to share about that?
Please.
Yeah, I think going out to the field, learning like what are people interested in, and coming from the entertainment background, it's like those were all in-person social events or sort of social networks, really. And what I've come to discover as Tim and I started working on this is currency is the ultimate social network. Like, you can opt out of a certain genre, you can opt out of a certain platform, you cannot opt out of currency. And so it's like, how are people choosing to interface and engage with this changing technology in the decentralized finance and traditional finance as they merge, common pooled area where those waters meet, which is where we get the name. And there's a combination of people that have had friends that have done super well, that have an interest, but they also know probably more people that have YOLO'd into something and lost money due to a scam. It's like in many unregulated markets, from art to others, that if the market is obfuscated, there's a lot of landmines or pitfalls or potential pitfalls, yet demand for this space is growing dramatically. So how do you start reducing risk for people to enter and gain access to this one-time event where these two worlds collide, or two markets collide, of traditional finance and decentralized finance? And how do you build these technology tools or suite of tools as a platform to reduce risk, to essentially democratize the ability for more people to participate in this one-time convergence. And yeah, people similar to the shows from different socioeconomic backgrounds and different geographies all had the same interest of participating, but they enter those same conditions of, they know some people that have done super well, but there's also a lot of risk. So navigating is that there's not as much clarity in the terms of a clean and elegant platform. And that's where we started to evolve this technology stack.
Kudos to you, gentlemen. And I appreciate you sharing the early honest beginnings of Mangrove, as well as the essence of how you came across the brand, and then your mission to democratize access and really hammer home these liquid markets. A little bit about me, gentlemen. Today I'm trying to connect Ripple Labs with USAID, but I believe because of some of the pitfalls in the traditional ways that money moves around the world, some of that money doesn't always make it to where it needs to be. And so because of these new promises, because of blockchain infrastructure, that money could get to where it needs to be. And so again, I think where I'm trying to get to is because of this disruption post that COVID world, where is cryptocurrency, are these new rails going to become standardized? And here we are, we're at this moment where it's actually happening. And so I believe that's going to set you guys up. We're on the cusp of the Clarity Act. So potentially we're with the Genius Act that's already been instituted, really paving a way for stable coins and other compliant digital currencies to now take full-fledged. With that being said, though, what are you guys prepared for now that the regulations are coming into the fold? We've got the Genius Act, as mentioned, but now the Clarity, which is going to define what is and what is not a crypto or security, commodity. Does that have any implications on you guys at Mangrove?
Oh yeah, big time. One of the major implication is seeing this massive wave of deregulation across the agencies, the SEC. Deregulation is in some regard, but also just there are some things that aren't technically a regulation, but they're like these enforced. We recommend you do these kind of things. But with the SEC, the CFTC, the OCC, the Fed, all across the board, they have essentially opened up the doors and said, and have at it, industry. And seeing in December that you had Bank of America, which was actually shocking to be the first major bank to announce, hey, our wealth managers, we've now given them the green light to recommend between 1% and 4% crypto allocation to their portfolios. And then a week later, you had JP Morgan saying, hey, we're going to tokenize our ETFs. And January 1st, you have E-Trade, which is a Morgan Stanley company, enabling crypto trading for their customers on the E-Trade platform. So there's been this view like crypto, I don't deal with that. What some people don't realize is that's where the puck is going. That's where the world is going. Everything is going towards tokenized finance and digital assets. And so we're positioning the platform to be able to take advantage of that momentum. And we're building out roadmaps to offer products and services beyond AI assisted trading for a wide range of use cases. And particularly now on our second pivot, building out products and services for investment advisors and private wealth managers. And David, do you want to add to that?
Kudos to you guys.
Yeah, advisors and wealth managers, there's at least 4 points of concern where they've been losing aid to crypto during these years of this sort of regulatory gray space, right? And they've been losing it to like self-directed investors who are putting that potential capital they could have to their own self-directed choice of platform that's outside of the sort of RIA ecosystem. And in addition to that, due to the rate of tech change from the DeFi space, the banking RIA systems are outdated systems, and a lot of them are manually driven around risk controls, and they're not prepared for 24/7 volatile, complex markets. And that's where AI toolkit can come in and start providing value. And then, to Tim's point, they've been restrained by regulation. And under the sort of current conditions, we're seeing a historic speed of requirements and regulatory structures being rewritten And so the banks are not on that, they're not used to being on that same cadence of regulatory change. So that's a big forcing function that's creating a lot of drag within the traditional banking system. Meanwhile, consumers are getting the green light every quarter. And there's a lot of potential energy that is now being redirected of where can I place this capital? How can I place this capital? What are the tools out there? And RAAs are missing out on that opportunity.
Yeah. Oh, I believe I could say I know from experience, based on my previous employer, we were able to service the institutional crowd at which Mangrove aspires to. And to your point, the power of being able to move your liquidity wherever you want across the ecosystem throughout these market participants at your own will was empowering. And I believe you guys are on the cusp of what's cutting edge and what's to be instituted and codified in short order. But with that, you guys, I want to touch on a couple things. You mentioned new tools, custody versus non-custody from institutional side as we progress. So what are your thoughts? You guys have I believe, a non-custodial approach. Do you mind discussing your approach and how you got to this point?
Yeah, the quick answer of how we got here is this is the easiest way to wedge into the market with minimal compliance and regulatory friction. We know we're going non-custodial, and right now our services are available on decentralized exchanges. So we're off the hook for compliance in that regard. But with that being said, your question just actually made me think of the SEC Crypto Task Force meetings that took place over the spring. And one thing that kept coming up over and over again is this idea of self-custody. And it seemed like everyone was on board about, okay, that's very important. We can't screw that up. Mm. And so we'll never not offer a non-custodial or a self-custody, however you want to say it, solution. But I think that the doors may be wide open, but that doesn't mean that we can stay out until all hours of the night partying and come home and wake our parents up. There's going to be products and services that you simply need to have a custodial solution for, and like lending, for example. That's an easy button. You want to do lending, you need to have your assets in custody somewhere. Otherwise, where's the guarantee? As a perfect example, that's something that we think about. And yeah, I don't know, David, what else you got?
Yeah, I think that's it. We're taking a opt-in approach where customers or retail users can opt in to share their wallet holdings with not only consolidate views across all of their wallets, across all of the currencies, across those wallets, across maybe strategies across those, but should they have a certain set of holdings within one or many wallets, and they're looking to leverage that for a purchase, or say like a home purchase or a car purchase or something. It's very hard at the moment for most, say, lending groups, say more traditional finance institutions, to verify ownership of X, Y, and Z said blend of assets, unless they're all sort of maybe say on one centralized exchange. And by having an opt-in approach, it makes it easier for both parties to opt in this arrangement where an RIA can share a blended visibility sort of only first view of the holdings of an individual retail user that then opens up more levers on the TradFi side to offer value to the end retail user. So that's where we're syncing interests and alignment across both sides of the table of the TradFi and maybe say a retail DeFi user, because a user may want to start exploring insurance products or custodian for spousal. If something happens, you're in a car wreck and you need access to funds, where do those live? And so this providing this baseline single pane of glass visibility tool that's opt-in from both sides, I think is also a very American democratic approach as opposed to a centralized TradFi regulatory driven mandate.
Yeah, said. Okay, give me 1 sec, guys. We're having a very, I'm going to remove this part. We're having a very great conversation that's just flowing. Are you guys satisfied with how these things are going right now? Yeah, I'll be able to chop some of this stuff up, but okay. Shifting back over to you, Tim, if you don't mind, given the fact, based on your experience and with the military background, does that have any influence on your approach in how you manage this startup coming out of stealth mode?
Yeah, and like literally everything I do in life has been shaped by my experience in the military. I joined the Army when I was 17 because wasn't going to college, and I didn't know what I was going to do with my life, and I didn't want to end up on the street somewhere. So I thought, oh, I better go to the Army and get some discipline and maybe figure out how to use my GI Bill and figure this thing out called life. I wasn't surrounded by people who had went to college. And anyway, not to get into a whole other backstory, but I went into the Army with a mission of learning discipline and learning how to be a stand-up adult in this world. And I definitely got that. And I approach everything I do from a sort of systems and process thinking mindset, and think about the way I lead this. There's a vision. There's a critical path from where I am to where I see I'm going. Everything else, get the hell out of the way.
Watch out. I don't want to say Bitcoin maxis because we're friends of everybody on this channel.
Yes.
Just kidding. All righty. Shifting back over to you, David. You mentioned some things a moment ago about, I want to say, digital ID, because in the event that you're moving around from platform to platform, the necessity of being able to seamlessly upload documents or not having to repetitively upload the same documents from platform to platform, do you envision Mangrove instituting some systems that would, I would say, complement some type of new framework where identity follows from platform to platform, or just follows the individual from platform to platform? And where I'm getting at is, since you're servicing institutional facing crowd, let's just say if an accreditation or certification is required, and that is attached to their digital ID, is that something that you guys are going to recognize?
As a baseline, the platform will always follow the law, but from I think thesis standpoint, we're designing the structure to be as opt-in as possible. So it's, from a retail standpoint, if you connect to the platform and you've got wallets across 5 different separate wallet providers, you don't have to connect all 5 wallets to Mangrove. Like you could, if you've got a Ledger wallet, as an example, you could connect that one to the Mangrove platform and then request your wealth advisor to opt in to then into the platform to have visibility into that particular Ledger wallet. And so I think the sort of first wave of use would be verification along that opt-in sort of chain of information, which then hopefully will lower the threshold and the turnaround time for someone that is a veteran in the digital asset space that has grown a nest egg and wants to lever it to a more traditional asset space, or someone that's newer that still wants, say, protections or advice from their current wealth manager of, if I'm moving 5%, maybe 10% of my investable assets into this digital asset ecosystem, I think there's going to be a spectrum of choice of how much or how little that individual retail client wants their particular wealth advisor or RA to get involved. And so I would say the digital ID question is very much a sort of spectrum of outcomes based off of the interest from both parties. And I'm sure that the regulatory framework will change and adapt over time as Congress updates these laws, which will continue to be in compliance with.
I was watching a recent interview with Loomis, Senator Loomis, and just how she was hammering, or was it Loomis, or was it the representative of Franklin Templeton? But regardless, the same narratives are coming out from the top now, which is great. As far as, think of it as one packet that follows you around, or one file that holds all of your financial information and medical records, D for all the above, and that could basically almost follow you around when you press the sign up with Google button in some capacity, if you think about it. I think that's very interesting.
Speaking of that, we're not, like, right now you can only use our platform through a federated login, X, Google, Facebook, etc. So like we don't ask you to sign up and give us your information. We make sure that's handled by someone else. And so that's the same The same is going to be true with the digital ID. That's managing that information and storing that is not it's not in our best interest or yours to let us hold on to that kind of data. So we pass that off to an ID provider. And as digital IDs roll out and become available, and if there are use cases that we want to be able to offer that require that, then we'll of course integrate with that. But yeah, now if the non-custodial trading on a DEX, there's no law that states we need to do KYC for that use case. But then, hey, if this person wants to let their advisor look at their account, now we're crossing too far over into the world of, okay, we should probably KYC now. So as David said, it's a choose your own adventure with regard to the level of identity that you'll provide us.
Well, not even outside of the identity revolution is you guys, and outside of the institutional crowd, you do serve the everyday investor as well through your tiered package programs, which we'll dive into. But where I'm getting at is you also offer, I want to say, is it not fake trading, but in a way where people can use your systems, learn them before they're deploying real money. Do you mind talking about some of the features that you guys offer that we haven't discussed yet?
Yeah, totally. So when there's this whole, we talked about the copilot, but not really. You use our copilot to help you create a strategy. That copilot turns your goals and your intentions into structured deterministic logic. It can then back test, walk forward, or look at Monte Carlo simulations. We can simulate markets with Brownian motion, et cetera. Won't get into the technical details of that. And then based off of some metric thresholds that we have in this system, it will say, hey, your strategy either meets the Mangrove's minimum thresholds or it doesn't. And if it does, you're recommended to deploy it in paper trading mode. And that's because, hey, this is all new stuff. Chances are if you're coming to our platform, you're probably learning too. Try it out paper trading and you can see exactly how your strategy would perform in the real market. And then or you can jump straight to live trading. No, I'm ready to go. Let me connect my wallet. Let me deploy $1,000 into this strategy or whatever amount. And then at that point, the copilot, the AI is out of the equation, right? The AI, now we are building signals that use AI, right? But that's different than the AI itself being in charge of your trade execution, having access to the market, having access to your wallet, right? That's where people go wrong. And there's multiple layers of guardrails that we have throughout that process. And the first one is, sorry, your strategy didn't meet our minimum thresholds. But then beyond that, at each trade that comes through, our risk manager says, hold up, let me check. Let me run through some checks here and make sure that this, for example, doesn't put you below your minimum cash balance. I say cash, USDT, USDC, whatever it is. Maybe placing this trade puts your risk, and maybe you have your thesis driven and you want to invest in ISO 222 coins, but then you also want to invest in oracles, but then you also want to invest in metaverse, but you want a balance of those and placing a particular trade. Oh, this puts your metaverse allocation above what you set. So no, you can't place this trade. So there's all sorts of guardrails like that are built in that don't exist elsewhere.
Yeah. Wow. That's incredible. And what an exciting time to participate in this space, and especially on mangroves. I think I already received the message that said, hey, your strategies don't meet our bar. So good luck elsewhere.
It's all good. It's all good. I have too. I've seen some good ones that were pretty surprising.
That's funny, guys. This has been a really great conversation, and it's been wonderful learning more about Mangrove as this landscape matures, just like its market participants. We discussed about how the role that you see Mangrove AI in the ecosystem. But as you mentioned earlier in this conversation, you're keeping your ear out to what your customer base is talking to you about, or sharing what they're learning while they're engaging with your systems. What are some of the reoccurring messages and themes that you're hearing, and how are you guys addressing those?
Some overarching themes, going back to the name scheme of Mangrove, of two bodies of water coming together. Salt water, fresh water creates brackish water that kills off a lot of life forms. but then a certain form of life form that grows, and not only grows itself, but also provides a new safe ecosystem for other species, is the mangrove tree. And so, like the decentralized finance and traditional finance, bodies of water converging, we're hoping to continue to build this suite of technology tools that on an ongoing basis provides this safe ecosystem for us at the individual level, and then also institutional providers to navigate this new brackish sort of environment that we all find ourselves in. And it's also the kind of pre-AI world and the post-AI world. Those are two bodies of water merging. And so we're hoping to continue to provide that suite of services.
If you don't mind me asking another, I don't want to say a high stakes question, but you've talked about AI having access to wallets, Mangrove having access to certain information minus PII at this time, if you're not collecting or completing KYC. Is there any information on the wallets themselves that you can associate with the users, or is there any information that would pinpoint? Do you mind talking about the data that is being collected and how you're using it?
Yeah, obviously we do federated login, and we encourage folks to log in with X because there's a whole social aspect that and a marketplace that we haven't even gotten into on this. So obviously we will have an internal mapping of wallets to X accounts, but that information is actually not stored in the same place, not stored with the same encryption infrastructure. And that's not something that will ever be shared. And it's not in our business or our best interest to have that. We need to have it to operate, but that information is all separate.
Good. That's good to know. Now, if you don't mind, I'd love to piggyback off your comment about the Mangrove's monetization model. I'll bring up onto the screen your tiered programs. Do you mind talking about some of your offerings, how you got to this place of your tiered packaging? And the reason why I'm asking is I'm doing the same thing with my services. And so having to get to this point of, in the startup world, how do we find the right pricing for our services, our time, X, Y, Z? There's just so much that goes into baking into these products. Do you mind addressing the tiered programs that are on the screen right now offered by Mangrove?
Yeah, so I can start. So our goal is to get people visibility, access, and education around trading, digital assets. We're not advising on that, but we want people to have exposure to the platform. So we've got this beginner strategy or beginner option, and that allows users to come in, start testing the platform, running some back tests, learning some strategies. Inside the platform, we've got a bit of a sort of gamification strategy where you start off as a seedling, and the more you use the platform and learn about trading definitions, finance, trade executions, exercise strategies within the platform, your sort of seedling grows into the roots of a tree and then a mangrove tree as you professionalize. So the goal is to make it fun. But from those that are more interested in having a higher number of strategies running concurrently, that's where we've got this tiered access on a continued pricing model. And there's a variety of usage models, continued pricing, number of seats. And so after looking at all of that across the types of users, we've come up with this pricing strategy with the goal of onboarding and providing access to as many people as we can. And the pro level is those that really want to maximize these lever, right? Where it's like, give me a lever long enough and I can move the world. You can lever your knowledge of trading and your knowledge of accessing the markets with ongoing intelligent signals and pattern conditions that you have running concurrently, with all the benefits of risk optimization around the parameters built within each strategy. And so we're trying to have this barbell spectrum approach to a suite of services of the crypto curious all the way up to the crypto savant.
Yep. And for those that are tuning in and looking onto the screen, the tiered pricing for Mangrove's offerings, I want to say, are very competitive. I've used plenty of bots over my time, and some have costed up to $500 per just one bot. And for me, it made absolutely no sense when I'm trading only $100 at the same time. So it's like to have access for basically as much as 2 cups of coffee is, I would say, extremely competitive. So kudos to you. And I'm sure, just as you mentioned, the ability to extend the number of seats, providing more access or resources to your institutional facing crowd from a management perspective is very, I would say, highly tuned and spot on. Kudos to you guys. I see where you're headed, and I love to hear it. Now, before I do let you go, is there anything that we haven't discussed yet that you would like to? Because I do have a few extra burning questions that I do want to ask before I let you go.
Fire away.
All righty, because you guys are kicking off 2026 very strong. I believe a little birdie told me you've got some events coming up on the horizon. Do you mind discussing your roadmap or your go-to-market strategy from an events or community engagement perspective?
Yeah, and David, feel free to jump in at any time. We're launching our beta, which is the interactive chatbot strategy creation backtesting. We're launching that next week. And our full product, we're about 5 weeks away, and that's where you can actually connect your wallet and do your trading.
But you also have some events too coming up.
That's right. Yes, this one that you have on the screen, March 17th, which, by the way, we've had to increase the cap twice now, and we can't go any higher. It's completely packed, over an additional 80 people on the wait list. So for those that still, check it out and put yourself on the wait list. But yeah, this is a big one. This is at our location here in Nashville, Tennessee, and going to the BPI, which is Bitcoin Policy Institute, grand opening next week. Great folks over there. Bitcoin Energy Mining Summit, again, here in Nashville, Tennessee by Bitcoin Park. And obviously Bitcoin 26 in Vegas.
Okay.
Consensus.
Well, so I'll be seeing you guys regularly, it sounds like, across the states. I'll be at Consensus. I just partnered up with them as a media partner. Bitcoin, I'll just discuss or chatted with their media team as well. But as I have the graphic on the screen right now, the marketing materials for your Beyond Broke Mastermind event. So it looks like you're co-hosting this with the Beyond Broke team. And then also, is it the Canary Capital Group, who just launched their own XRP ETF not too long ago, which Steve McClurg is the CEO, who I got to fortunately brush elbows with him at Ripple Swell. Very tall man. But kudos to you. What inspired the synergies, the collaboration between all three of you? How did you guys come to know each other?
I reached out to, back when David and I were doing the fund, I cold sent a LinkedIn message and just said, hey, I followed you. Like, you've said some spot on stuff about some things that I'm thinking about. This is what I'm doing. I'd love 15 minutes over your ear to get some advice. And great dude, just took the call. Did not have to. The man is so busy. And I got on the event list and started showing up to events. And it's, hey, we need to do something together. Nashville is putting itself on the map as a city to think about when you think about technology and you think about AI and you think about startups and investing. And let's host an event. And we did.
Yeah. So, good for you guys. Good for you. I'm thoroughly excited to fly into Nashville. This will be my first time in the great state of Tennessee. I've heard you guys have some really great music, so I'm excited to maybe stumble into a couple bars late night with some live tunes jamming. Maybe David can show me around based on his entertainment experience and aficionado. But before I do let you guys go, though, I would really love to end things on I don't want to say a bold note, but I would say something somewhat confident. What do you guys think the crypto market's going to look like as we proceed into 2026 and beyond? Any predictions you'd be willing to share, maybe about Mangrove, the broader ecosystem at large? I'd love to hear your thoughts as we close out this interview here.
David, you can go first.
Yeah, I'd say, none of this is financial advice, but I think clarity in any organization and in any industry empowers people to be more confident about it, because you can then communicate more clearly, and clear communication tends to lead to better outcomes. And so with what was appropriately named and now being renamed, the Market Structure Act, as an example, will bring a lot of clarity to both industries at the institutional level, at the key opinion leader level, at the individual level too. And so I'm very excited about the potential of what's going to happen in 2026.
Before I get your prediction, Tim, I want to say something, because as things ramp up and scale up for our, I would say, digital economy, There's others that are gonna, I would say, not perform at that and accelerate at that speed. Let's just say might get left behind. I was watching and also looking into comparables in the early financial crisis with the most recent, as far as the launch of derivatives and such. And so here we are with these new trading systems that could make things so much more liquid. If for those that aren't even participating at this time, it's almost, are they going to get locked out? Are they going to get left behind? Is now the time to participate or get left behind? What are your thoughts, Tim?
Now is definitely the time to participate. And I think if you don't make the move now, and now, what does now mean? It doesn't mean this month, but it certainly means this year, 2027, you're going to wish that you had moved some of your investments into digital assets. And and with my prediction, I guess all folks that know me, when I got back into crypto, it was 2019. I took a different approach to how I was investing. I said, this is a completely new industry. Let me look at this the way a VC looks at investing in early stage startups. Forget the hype. What problem is being solved? What technology are they using to solve it? Why is it that technology? How big is the problem? Is it a hair on fire problem, or is it, hey, we should do this because it'd be cool? Who are the people that are solving this problem? What is the team like? What's their background? Can I find them on LinkedIn, or do they only have Telegram accounts? So when I went through that, I saw the ISO 222 family of assets, and I said, this is what I'm doing. And then, of course, not long after, Ripple got sued by the SEC and was delisted from US exchanges for the better part of 4 years. And not that I have any relationship to Uphold, but I was like, what the hell am I going to do? Because this is the only thing I believe in right now. Luckily, I've been trading on Uphold all that time. And I look at my returns, and they're comparable. Is some months higher, some months lower than Bitcoin, but it's very much comparable to Bitcoin. But anyway, all that to say, my prediction for 2026 is that the ISO 222 family of tokens are going to actually show the world their utility, and that they really are what has intrinsic value beyond speculation. And just to close that up with, our entire global monetary system is based off of fiat currency. Fiat currency, by definition, has no intrinsic value other than the value that we all agree on. And then I'm not getting into politics and oil and all these other current things that's happening in the world right now, but there's a lot for 2026 in store.
Yeah. If we could tie that value to real world assets and move that value in a liquid format at our discretion, I think it's a game changer. If you don't mind, you shared some interesting insights, Tim. David, I'd be curious, how did you get into crypto? And any final last words before we close things up, gentlemen, and I'll let you go. Thank you.
Yeah. As I was producing these shows, India, South Africa, consulting on some shows in Dubai, Canada, across the US, there was probably about 10 years ago, or a little longer, maybe 2014-ish, there started to be inbound requests from our fans across genres, across geographies, across ticket types of socioeconomic sort of classes. Can we pay with Bitcoin or some cryptocurrency? And at the time, I'm like, I don't know. Can we accept this payment? As the business operating the gates of, do we accept current payment in said currency for access to our show?
Do we dive into this brackish water?
yeah. And then our vendors at the shows that sell F&B and clothing and jewelry, they started asking, can we accept in these digital assets, which then led into the payment terminals set of questions about 10 years ago. And then as the companies in the digital asset crypto space started growing, in the Bitcoin space, they started asking if they could sponsor our shows in these different markets. Can we have a booth out at your show? It's, I don't know. What is this company? What are the rules? Is this company registered? Or can we accept payment? And so it was really like an organic sort of threads being pulled from different geographies, different patrons, and then our in-company partners as our vendors. And then when we were operating in multiple countries, making payments to local staff, was this sort of treasury currency issue where it would take 4 to 5 days to clear. It was very stressful. And so like monitoring the stablecoin development was a direct sort of market fit for us. And yeah, I think just from it was a self-education on my end by force from our customers to partners to internal mechanics and operations as a business. But I would encourage anyone to do as much research as you can. Everyone's learning from both parties of like, how do we integrate capital and compliance from traditional markets to the technology and decentralized finance and like sort of trustless systems. Self-educate as much as possible, buy books, audiobooks, read, go on podcasts like yours where you're interviewing people that are experts in a variety of these spaces, and these in-person events like we're lucky enough to co-host upcoming. I think as the world gets more digital, we need more in-person rituals. So like the more you can meet up with people that are also exploring this space, it's okay if they're coming from a variety of skill sets or backgrounds. You meet up in your town where you are. That's one of the fastest ways to learn. And I think the digital assets, the crypto and Bitcoin ecosystem have been really good about that.
Yeah, said, and you're absolutely right. I'm living that, sir. I started showing up to these events similar to just as you described, and from there it was just building phenomenal lifelong relationships. I'm not here to sell friendships or anything within this ecosystem, but it's true. I made some really great friends, really great partnerships, professional relationships, and because of that, I was able to stop selling business insurance, which I have done for 10 years out of college. And I got to dive into a new world of private equity, tokenized landscape, real world assets, and now excelling beyond that as the owner of my own media agency that's tokenizing real world content and providing business development and other things beyond just the content itself. So and leveraging these tool sets to receive and process money flows in a transparent fashion as well. As we go out to Davos and sell some of our packages or my packages, others will be selling. So basically what I'm saying is I'm partnering up with third parties to make sure that we're all on the same page as far as revenue splits. Things need to be transparent, things need to be open, and it's just really great to see how we're even leveraging these systems as we're selling this side. It's just a really great experience, and I'm so thankful to be part of it. I'm thankful that you guys got to be on the show today. For those in the audience that want to learn more about Mangrove.ai or Mangrove, if they want to learn more about Mangrove, go check out Mangrove at mangrove.ai. But what would be another great way is to check you guys out and follow you across all socials. You are active on X. I've got for those that are tuning in on the screen is a screenshot of Mangrove's X handle. It is Mangrove_AI. Gentlemen, any other best ways to get in touch with you and the team should anyone tune in and have any questions or updates?
Yeah, put in on our website. You can definitely follow us here. You can see that we don't have a lot of followers right now. We're a small, agile team getting off the ground. So definitely would love your support to follow us and connect with us here and give us a reason to post more content.
What you're saying, Tim, it's early. You're saying it's early. You guys just came out of stealth. Don't sell yourself short. You've got a beautiful platform, great technology, and a global network. So you guys are going to accelerate and dominate. No doubt in my mind. And I can't wait to brush elbows with you guys in Tennessee. It's going to be a good conversation. Same with you, Dave. I think we'll have a really good in-person interview as well. Talk about some really great things from live entertainment to these disruptive technologies like you just mentioned. I'm looking forward to tackling alongside with you guys. But before I let you go, any final comments?
Thanks.
No, thank you.
Being awesome.
Mangrove, that's my final comment.
Mangrove, there we go. Mangrove. You know what, Dave, before I let you go, has anyone said you look like Peter Thiel?
I haven't gotten that one yet.
No, yeah, I think he's a legend and an absolute beast. So by all means, you emulate his sophistication and intelligence. Again, it's been a pleasure to get to know you virtually. And Tim, really, again, thankful to support you and the team at Mangrove. For those in the audience, I'll be sure to copy the links to Mangrove's socials, as well as their website, mangrove.ai. And make sure you join their wait list to get early access onto their platform. I've I made sure that I signed up and just made sure that I want to be on the forefront of you guys. I took a screenshot, made sure like I memorialized my moment of onboarding onto your system. Just so everyone, I suggest, not financial advice, but if you want to learn more about some new and cutting edge automated payment trading solutions, check out Mangrove at mangrove.ai. And again, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me today. Looking forward to seeing you in Tennessee. All righty.
Absolutely. Thanks, Ray.
Hey, thank you. Love you mucho. Talk soon.
Yeah.